have is a letter that was signed by Connie Bowen under firm notary, and it's addressed to you. She could not attend today, but it concerns...
Kind of worst kind of hearsay, so...
It concerns being approached by the defendant in this case at Safeway. I'll leave it at that.
Let me just read it.
Yeah.
Are you not going to call Janet Thomas?
I'm not.
She put in, she could go.
This actually doesn't have anything to do with the allegations in the petition, Your Honor, so I would object to having this in. Further, I can't ask Ms. Ms. Bowen any
Why would you
questions.
think it's relevant?
Because it's typical of the conduct of the defendant in this case. Approaching people inappropriately and saying inappropriate things concerning their involvement in this whole process. And it's okay, I can ask the defendant.
Yeah. Only partially, tongue in cheek. I live in Dewey-Humboldt. I have never met Mr. Thomas, never met Ms. Cluff, never heard of him. And maybe I did at the election because I do vote. But that one went in one ear and out the other. If I heard somebody recommended that I vote for you or not, Mr. Cluff, certainly had never met Ms. Schroeder or Schroeder or Ms. Combs. Haven't signed petitions or them I know of. But I will tell you, you don't have to live in town that long to know what's been going on at town hall since the inception of the town. So that is, I'll weigh the testimony today when we're done, said and done. Do you have any witness to call, Mr. Chapman?
I do, so plaintiff rests.
What do we do with this?
Don't do it.
You want me to enlarge it? No. No. So the plaintiff rests.
Okay.
Your Honor, before I present,
Who are you going to call?
I do have a witness. I would submit that Mr. Thomas has not met his burden, the threshold burden to show that there's been any series of acts, specifically as to his daughter or his wife. Those two at first, there hasn't been any testimony, there's been any series of acts. If there's anything, there's one isolated incident.
Well, he's got guardianship over his daughter.
And even if he does, there's one incident where he testified she was unaware of Ms. Cluff's presence. There's been no testimony about the wife. So the burden with respect to those two individuals on this completely fails. So we'd move for Rule 20 on that, or the equivalent of Rule 20. Furthermore, the the statute requires that there be a showing of a series of events that were intended to harass, alarm, or annoy the defendant, and that they in fact did, the plaintiff, and they in fact did so without any legitimate purpose. And again, his feeling about somebody being in a public place, that's the only thing that's been presented. That nothing with her actions did anything other than his subjective. So we would argue to the court that they've failed to meet their burden. We don't even need to go forward. Are prepared to go forward if we need to today.
Okay, with respect to the daughter and wife, I agree, we'll dismiss the case with regard to that. With regard to the rule, I assume you know what Rule 20 is, Mr. Coughlin?
Yes, sir.
The Rule 20 motion, I think, well, back up, the plaintiff's burden is to prove it be the level of preponderance of the evidence. Now, I've sat in this court for over a decade, and have repeatedly heard the impact of somebody taking pictures of somebody else in an obvious way, so as, and it's always perceived as harassment. Secondly, to be in the, I don't know where Ms. Cluff lives, but presumably it's not in Mr. Thomas's neighborhood, according to the witnesses, all the witnesses. She didn't belong there. So with regard to your quote-unquote Rule 20 motion, it's denied.
Thank you. Just for lack of a better term, I know those rules don't apply, but for lack of a better term. Then I would call Ms. Cluff to the stand.
Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. And by 10 minutes, I mean 10 minutes. Start to stop. What time is it on the computer?
4:03.
4:03. We'll be back in our seats at 4:13.
I know.
Mr. Chapman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I called Ms. Cluff to the stand. And I know the courtroom reverberates a little bit. If you could just remind everyone not to talk. There's a little bit of mumbling in the background when we're doing questions, and I'm having a hard time focusing.
Raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, all the truth, nothing but the truth. Help you God. Please be seated and do respect the fact that this isn't, courtroom number 1 in custody. Probably everything you say could be heard and heard on the microphone. That's how good these mics are.
All right, Ms. Were you sworn in? Did you just swear her in? I'm sorry. Please state your name for the record.
Leigh Ellen Cluff.
And Ms. Cluff, what do you do for a living?
I'm disabled.
And you say you're disabled. Do you have some type of medical condition that affects your ability to speak quickly?
Yes, I have brain injury. I was in 2 car accidents.
Okay. And if you need to take a break at any time because of that, just let us know. If I go too fast, just let me know. Do you currently live in Dewey-Humboldt?
Yes,
How long have you lived there?
37 years.
And who do you live with?
My husband, Sam Cluff.
Would you consider yourself an active member of your community?
I can't even say the word. Yes. I was going to say absolutely. Yes, I do.
Are you involved with town government, specifically the town council?
I'm not on the council. However, yes, I am involved with the meetings and talking to people.
And when you say you're involved, what role or what things do you do to be involved in town council meetings?
I check the facts of what is being said by going places, driving around the town if something is said. I verify that. I've helped on the Firewise. I've helped on the cleanup committee, and I let my neighbors know what's going on.
Have you religiously attended town council meetings?
Yes,
How long?
at least 5 years. It's until the injunction, and then I have not attended any on Zoom since then, or attend.
Is that because you're no longer interested in the town council meetings or because you're trying to abide by the injunction?
I'm abiding by the injunction to the best of my ability.
And to be clear, you weren't precluded from going to town council meetings, but you chose to do that so that there wouldn't be any question. Is that accurate?
I was told to stay within 100 feet, so I decided not to go to the meetings because that would be 100 feet. And I did not go on Zoom, just thought it was best not to do it right now.
You've been in the courtroom throughout the testimony of Mr. Thomas's witnesses, correct?
Yes.
With respect to ongoing issues that you've become aware of with town council or at the council meetings, are there any specific situations that you've taken an interest in with regard to the neighborhoods?
Yes.
Tell us what that is.
It started back in May of 15th, and I'm not sure if it was 2018 or 2019. I was at a meeting and they showed video or pictures of a house. And they said we have to have to be able to clean it up, force the people to clean up the maintenance code. And they were showing a house that had burnt down 20-some years ago, and the new owner had already tore it down. And at that point, I quit trusting anything they said. I verified the facts. And that house was 2 doors down from me.
Do you take an active role in verifying that people who run for council do so in the appropriate and legal ways?
Yes,
And in order to do that, have you routinely requested, submitted information requests to Dewey-Humboldt Town Hall?
yes.
Tell us how you do that.
I pick up forms and I fill them out at home where I can take time, and then I go back to the town hall and turn them in. And when COVID started, I made sure I called if I wasn't sure if somebody was inside the building or not.
And with COVID, did you change the way you were supposed to do things with respect to filing your information request?
You had to make sure no one was in the town, the little waiting room. And I generally tried to call.
Have you filed information requests in the past?
Yes,
Have you filed them as far back as 5 years ago?
that I'm not sure of. A year to 2 years ago, yes.
Have you had an opportunity to look at the petition that Mr. Thomas filed against you?
Yes,
In his petition, he indicates that after returning home from town with my family, I realized I was being followed by the defendant. Have you ever followed Mr. Thomas?
no,
Have you ever followed his wife or daughter?
no,
Prior to seeing him on Zoom, had you ever met Mr. Thomas?
no,
Even on Zoom, had you met Mr. Thomas?
no.
Was there a town council meeting that you attended in which Mr. Thomas indicated a position regarding vegetation in the town?
On February 2nd, 2021.
And do you recall what was stated at that town council meeting and by who?
Both Chris Dragon and Mr. Thomas were talking about the code that goes out, the building code, the 2018 building code, and they wanted the code, the cleanup code, I'm sorry, I can't think of the right words.
The maintenance.
The maintenance code left in there, and it was in several other places. And at that time, and I watched this over and over, can I tell you exactly where on the video?
No.
No.
Okay,
Tell me, were you at the meeting?
yeah, on a Zoom meeting, yes.
On a Zoom meeting. And did you hear Mr. Thomas and Mr. Dragan speak specifically regarding some situation regarding the maintenance code and their position about
Yes,
it?
if it didn't get through, they felt if it wasn't in on that building code, that the town, that their property values would be lowered.
Did that cause any concern for you with respect to your knowledge about the town?
Yes.
And what concern was that?
I was concerned, we have elderly people there that we need to help clean up instead of trying to put liens and stuff and codes, forcing them. Let's help them, is what I kept saying to do.
And at some, I'm sorry, I thought you said something.
No, you didn't say anything wrong, but I'm not sure how this is all relevant. I understand her position on the building
Yep.
code.
At some point, did you want to take into consideration, or did you want to investigate facts based on something that Mr. Thomas and Mr. Dragan said at a town council meeting?
Yes.
What was it that you wanted to confirm or deny?
Mr. Thomas said that our town is a pig hole. Looks like a pig hole. It will continue looking like a pig hole.
What was that based on?
The weeds, the maintenance code.
Okay, let me stop this. I understand that they're politically divided on aspects of the building code. I enforce the county building code, so I'm intimately familiar with this divisiveness of building codes, how far a government can go to tear down a house, et cetera, et cetera. Please move back to the petition.
Your Honor, this goes to show what her purpose was for being in the location she was on February 11th.
Okay, if you could jump to that, I appreciate it.
Very good. Did you go to the location where Mr. Dragon, Mr. Thibodeau, Mr. Thomas, and the Beers live on February 11th, 2021?
Yes, I did.
Did you drive there in your vehicle?
Yes, I did.
And did you in fact take photographs of the vegetation in that area?
Yes, I did,
I'm
on
going-
Gladstone.
I'm sorry?
I was on Gladstone when I took those pictures.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as Defense Exhibit 1. This is the plat map that Ms. Schroeder looked at. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes, I am.
Did you print that plat map?
Yes, I did.
And is that the plat map that includes Mr. Thomas's address,
Yes, it is.
as well as Mr. Dragon's?
Yes, it is.
God bless you. As well as Ms. Schroeder's?
Yes, it is.
As well as Anthony and Eileen Beer?
Yes,
As well as Mr. Thibodeau's prior address?
yes,
Are the Beers and Mr. Thibodeau your friends?
yes,
Were you familiar with that neighborhood based on your friendships with other people that live in that neighborhood?
yes,
And did you go to the neighborhood on February 11th?
yes.
Can you please put on there, there was a blue mark made by Ms. Schroeder. I want you to use the black pen. Did you take it up there with you? And draw for us how you entered into that property or how you entered into that neighborhood and where you went when you were there, please. And after you are done drawing it, if you can describe it so that the record is clear of what you've drawn.
You don't have to pick on the line.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
I drove on White. I turned left on Golden View. I went down Gladstone, stopped by the Scrub Oak, took some pictures, crossed back over the road, came back across, went out, made a U-turn, came back down. Then I turned right on McCabe. And then I went to the end and came back out and drove down Golden View and then back out to White.
As you were driving in on Golden View, did you see a woman?
I believe I was on Gladstone when I saw someone. I'm not sure because I don't know where it changed.
Okay. And do you now know who that woman was?
I honestly do not.
Okay. And did you said you took photographs on Gladstone. When you took the photographs, where were you and your vehicle located?
On the road.
Were you in your vehicle?
Yes.
Did you ever get out of your vehicle?
No.
Did you ever enter anyone's private property to take photographs?
No.
Did you ever take photographs of any people in that area?
No.
Did you ever take any videos of anybody or anything in that area?
No.
And the photographs you were taking were for what purpose, Ms. Cluff?
Because of the brain injury, it's easier for me to have copies of what I've done. So if I have those, then I can know that I didn't misconstrue. I want true facts.
Okay. And at some point on that day, February 11th, did you see Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
I want you with your black pen to let's see, Ms. Schroeder put an X on it. I want you to put a circle where Mr. Thomas was when you first saw him.
I can't really tell where his driveway is, but I'll do the best I can.
Was he on his personal property?
Yes.
And did you stop and have any conversation with him?
No.
Did you make any gestures to him?
No.
Did you see anybody else beside Mr. Thomas in his driveway?
No.
When you went down McCabe, what did you do?
Went to the end of the cul-de-sac, knowing he was there, not sure what was going to happen. I stopped for a minute to decide what I was going to do, because when I feel stressed is when the brain injury problems come really bad. And then I just drove out.
Okay. And did you see Mr. Thomas after you drove out on McCabe do anything different or move to a different place?
Yes, he moved into the roadway.
Did you see him with anything in his hand?
He had his phone.
At that time, had you been taking any photographs of him?
No.
Did you take any photographs of his driveway?
No.
Did you take photographs of the landscape, including part of the landscape or the scrub oak between Mr. Dragon and Mr. Thomas's properties?
Yes,
Do you routinely request public records with information requests?
yes,
Have you previously requested records regarding Mr. council members,
yes,
specifically Mr. Thomas?
yes.
And when did you make that record request?
I believe it was November 18th. I made a record, information request for him and Debbie Stanfield. They were the top 2 write-ins, and I asked for the financials.
And is that public record?
Yes, it
Did
is.
you follow all of the requirements and rules in order to obtain that information?
Yes, I did.
And with that information, did you disseminate it in any way to defame or harm Mr. Thomas?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Yeah, I don't know the relevance.
I'll move on. With that information, were you able to confirm facts that you were wanting to assure met the standards for the politics that you were involved in?
Yes,
After you drove in off Gladstone, in on McCabe, did you leave?
yes,
In preparation of this hearing, did I ask you to provide me with your phone and all photographs taken on February 11th?
yes,
Did you do that?
yes.
Did you alter any of the photographs?
No,
Did you delete any of the photographs? Did you take any video on February 11th,
No.
2021?
sorry, no.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit number 2. Defense would move to admit Defense Exhibit 1, which is the plat map.
Objection.
No.
No objection.
I'm showing you what's Defense Exhibit 2. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes,
Who took those photographs?
I did,
When did you take those photographs?
on February 11th.
First photograph appears to be some type of medical device.
Blood sugar,
Why do you take your blood sugar pictures?
because they're trying to regulate me.
I'm going to direct you to page 5 of that document. There are 2 photographs dated February 11, 5:17 p.m. Can you tell the court what those are?
Those are 2 of the photographs that I took of the scrub oak.
And that was in the location that you identified on the map that was marked as Defense Exhibit 1?
Yes,
On page number 6, can you tell us what those 3 photographs are?
same thing as I took on Gladstone.
Page 7?
The same
Now in those
pictures from Gladstone.
Now, in those photographs, do you see houses off in the
Yes.
distance? When you took those photographs, were you on a public roadway?
Yes,
Were you taking photographs of any individuals in those pictures?
no,
Did you in fact see any individuals when you were taking these pictures?
no,
On page 8, first picture there,
same thing. It was on Gladstone.
and the other photographs, were those also photographs regarding your involvement in town hall and town council meetings?
Yes,
Did you disseminate any of those photographs to anyone in any way regarding Mr. Thomas?
no,
Prior to February 11, have you ever been in that neighborhood?
no. I've been at Anthony Beer's house years ago.
And had you ever gone to Mr. Thibodeau's home when he lived in that neighborhood?
No,
Are you friends with Mr. Thibodeau?
yes,
And are you aware Mr. Thibodeau lived in that neighborhood?
yes,
Are you aware whether or not Mr. Thibodeau and Mr. Thomas are friends?
I assume yes, I believe they were.
After February 11, 2021, have you gone back to that neighborhood?
No,
Did you ever speak to Mr. Thomas that day?
No,
Have you ever spoken with Mr. Thomas in person?
no,
Have you ever spoken with him over the phone?
no,
Have you ever communicated with him indirectly with electronic means? Email, text message, social media?
yes, I sent an email out to all the council members.
Was it directed to Mr. Thomas?
It was directed to the council and the town. It was, all their names were on there.
And was that in relationship to something that was ongoing or one of your information record requests?
Yes,
I'm showing you what's been marked as defense exhibit number 3. Is that the email communication that you included Mr. Thomas on along with the rest of the council members?
yes,
Did you include any photographs on that email?
no,
Move for the admission of defense exhibits 2 and 3.
Relevance, Your Honor?
I don't know what the email says, so let me look at it real quickly. I don't see any relevance. Let me see that.
She corroborates her testimony that this is the only correspondence she's ever had with Mr. Thomas. Goes to her credibility and her testimony.
Well, it certainly doesn't do that, Your Honor.
I don't see where it's relevant either, Mr. Cluff, so we'll sustain your objection.
Have you ever stalked Mr. Thomas?
no,
Have you ever followed Mr. Thomas?
no,
Have you ever surveilled Mr. Thomas?
no,
Let's move to the other allegation in the petition, March 16, 2021. Were you at Town Hall on March 16, 2021?
yes,
Why were you there, Ms. Cluff?
to turn in an information request.
Were you sitting in the parking lot of Town Hall?
Yes,
Did you see people in Town Hall?
yes, the door was open.
Were they there when you got there?
Yes,
Did you go in while they were there?
no,
Why not?
because we've been asked when there's people in there not to go in because of COVID.
Did you make a phone call to the clerk to see when you could go in to file your public record request?
I called before I got there, yes.
When you got there, who did you see there?
I couldn't see in the door for sure who it was, but I saw there were several people.
And at some point, did those people leave the town hall and come closer to you so you could identify who they were?
Yes,
And who do you recall being at town hall that day?
Chris Dragon. And at that point, I didn't know her name was Terry Schroeder, but I do know that now. And then Jennifer Combs.
Did you have your phone out?
Yes,
Did you take photographs?
yes.
Why?
I took photographs because I don't remember who all's there, and I was getting bored, just sitting there so long, so I took pictures of everybody coming and going. I also took pictures of just the building, and I also was on the phone. And when I I don't hold it up here, it's a speakerphone, so I hold the phone up this way.
Did you take any videos of anyone that day?
No,
Did you have any conversation with Mr. Thomas that day?
no,
Did you take photographs of individuals other than Mr. Thomas?
yes,
At that time, had you been aware of any attempts or any discussion about recalls potentially being filed?
yes.
And who were you aware were engaging in that activity?
Chris Dragon, Terry Schroeder, Jennifer Combs, and Doug Treadway.
And where did you first become aware of that? How did you become aware of that prior to March 16th?
Because it was announced at several meetings that they were going to recall people. So I started putting in information requests
And you were putting in information requests for what purpose?
to find out who was being recalled and who was doing the recall.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as defense exhibit number 4. Recognize what those are.
Yes, those are some of the information requests I have done.
Is that all of the information requests you've done, or have you done more?
I've done a lot more.
Ms. Chapman, I don't see the relevance here. we're here about a petition, and it's been established by Mrs. Cluff that she, in fact, was taking pictures. So why is this relevant?
Well, this corroborates.
I don't care about the recall in the Dewey-Humboldt.
I understand you don't. And this corroborates that she was there to obtain it. The reason that she was there was not to follow or stalk anyone, but to submit an information request like she had done, which is confirmed by the documents that will be admitted.
All right.
And my objection, are you ruling?
Go ahead.
My objection is that she can establish why she was there, but past information requests have nothing to do with it. So they're not
What
relevant.
was the date on this information request?
There are several, Your Honor.
Give me the dates.
March 29th, March 16th, March 11th, March,
Let me see the March 16th one.
And with respect to that, there was testimony that she was at town hall other times, and this corroborates why she was there. She's routinely there. It's not out of the ordinary.
This is not, well, it is, I'm not sure the date. It's either the 16th or the 15th.
The second one on this, in the staff, Your Honor, is the 16th at 4:01 p.m.
That's it. Okay. All right, we'll accept that she filed the information request on the 16th.
So, Your Honor, is only the 16th, is that the only document in this whole, I mean, there's probably 15 different
I'm
requests.
not gonna look at the rest.
So only the 16th is coming in as an exhibit?
Yes, if they ask, request admission, admittance, admission.
You had testified earlier that you became aware of Mr. Thomas's information based on an information request. Did you make that request on November 18th of 2020?
yes, I did.
Is that the third, fourth from the, fifth from the
How is that
last?
relevant, Ms. Chapman?
Again, it corroborates,
It's November 2020.
but it's the one time that she obtained information regarding Mr. Thomas.
So what?
Ms. Cluff, after individuals left town hall, did you in fact file this petition or the information request?
Yes,
Had you been involved in disagreements at town councils prior to this information request, specifically with Mr. Thomas?
no, I never spoke to him.
Were there some disputes at town council that you were trying to obtain facts to sustain?
Yes,
I'm going to show you what's been marked.
Ms. Chapman, you've established the fact that on the day of the March 16th, the defendant filed an information request. As regards to the political disputes between the defendant and the plaintiff, it's irrelevant to me.
And I'm not getting into
I'm
the
worried about a
substance.
petition against harassment.
Correct, Your Honor. I'm not getting into the substance. It's again,
I don't care.
right.
I don't care that they have a dispute politically. Do you understand that?
I do, Your Honor.
Well, I don't think it's relevant.
Okay.
I accept the face value they have political differences.
And I won't ask any more questions about
Okay.
that. Marking exhibit number 6, Defense Exhibit 6. Do you recognize these photographs?
yes, they're the ones I took on March 16th.
Are those all of the photographs that you took on your camera roll on March 16th?
Yes,
Did you take any videos that day?
no,
Did you disseminate any of the information or photographs that you took on March 16th to anyone, specifically involving Mr. Thomas?
no,
Did you have any conversation with Mr. Thomas on that day?
no,
Did you follow him to the town hall on that day?
no, I was there first.
Did you follow him, when he left on that day?
No,
Did you surveil him in any way?
no,
Were you in a public place when you took photographs?
Yes.
Did you surreptitiously or secretly take photographs without the intent of anyone knowing that you were taking photographs?
No.
Move for the admission of 6 photographs from the 16th. Also move for the admission of, well, you said you're not going to, are you going to admit all of 4? Or are you going to take out the number, the 16th?
We would admit all the 4. The only one of interest to me is the March 16th. And that goes to the issue of why she was there.
Move to admit 6, the photographs for the 16th. Did you, I'm sorry.
No objection to admit. And now, pictures that start with this clock 107. That's Defense Exhibit 65,
I believe that's 5.
right? Or 2.
That's 2. I've been numbering them as I go. I did not write them.
Okay.
1 is the plot map, 2 is the February 11th photographs. 3 was the email that wasn't admitted. 4 is the information requests. And then 6 is the March 16th photographs. I skipped.
March 6th, is this Taylor versus City of Claremont? That picture?
No, that's the March, I'm sorry, that's February 11th. That's exhibit number 2. Those are the photographs from February
Yes, it is.
11th.
Okay.
Do you have the photographs from the 16th? Standing with me? Ms. Cluff has the photographs for 16.
3 was not admitted.
3 was not admitted, no. Nor, yeah, 4 is. I skipped 5 and didn't write.
No 5?
No 5.
Why would you take pictures of your watch?
May I see it, Your Honor?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's not a watch. It's got.
Is it white?
It's got temperature, yeah.
It's my blood pressure. Been having trouble with blood pressure, so I take a picture every time I take the blood pressure, so we have record for the doctor.
When used, I'm sorry, did we admit 6?
It's got a picture of somebody sitting at their desk with a dog that looks like their cat.
It's a goat.
It's a goat. And the SUV looks like a, just an educated guess, it's silver Chevy Tahoe or whatever.
That's a picture when Mr. Thomas pulled in next to me. Two parking lots away from me. There was one between us.
So you took pictures of his car that day?
Yes.
Okay. And the gentleman here in this picture on the boardwalk in front of Town Hall, is this Mr. Cluff you took pictures of?
That's not Mr. Cluff, no.
Okay.
Is that Mr. Thomas? I don't know. I have to see.
I'm sorry, Mr. Thomas. Yes,
One of them,
Mr.
yes,
Thomas.
is.
It looks like it. So that corroborates his story. He stepped outside, and who's this going into Town Hall with the gray plaid shirt on?
Can I see it up close? Yeah. That's Mr. Dragon coming out of the town hall.
Okay. So you took a picture of Mr. Dragon. Dragon, I guess, technically. And somebody in a black cowboy hat, who's that?
Can I see the picture, please? Councilmember Glenn Blomgren.
Oh, that was Mr. Blomgren that we're gonna call back, which we never did. Okay.
We haven't got that far yet.
Is he your witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And this picture of participants, what's that about?
Can I see it? That's the Zoom meeting, and I just take a picture of who was there instead of trying to write down everybody's name, because you can't see who's at the meeting. Because you're not in public.
Okay. Okay, I think I got a handle on these pictures, which are exhibits.
And on that first page, one last point of clarification, who are the individuals in the first, in the last photograph on the first page?
Yeah.
2 females walking out. Can you just tell us who those people are?
On the first page?
Yep, on the first page on the far right, next to the blood sugar count.
I believe the one is Terry Shermer, and the other one is, right in the doorway is Jennifer Combs, and behind her is Mr. Brett.
Is Mr.
So all the opposition candidates got their picture taken that day, huh?
Anybody that was at the office did that day that came out.
Okay. Good.
Once the individuals left town hall, did you go into town hall?
Yes,
Did you speak with anyone inside town hall?
the clerk, and then I asked Mr. Blumgren when I went to go out, was in there, and I asked him if he would, watch me while I got in my car,
Why did you ask him to watch you while you were getting in your car?
because Mr. Thomas had not left yet. He got in his car and did not leave, and I wasn't sure what was gonna happen.
Did you speak to Mr. Thomas at all?
No,
Did you see him sitting in his car in the parking lot?
yes,
Did you follow, who left out of the parking lot first, you or
I
Mr.
did.
Thomas? Did you ever video Mr. Thomas on the 16th?
no.
Do you want to be able to, able to attend town council meetings?
Yes,
And with respect to the actions that you've taken, did you do so in order to help you establish facts to support any arguments that you would bring at town council?
yes.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Coughlin? Don't blame me, blame the county. Now it's making a noise.
Your Honor, I don't have any cross-examination.
Okay. I have a real quick question. Ms. Cluff, when you were slowly driving around the neighborhood, back and forth, and then left the neighborhood that day, and you were taking pictures, What is it that you were fact checking?
On February 2nd, they were discussing how, if the maintenance code wasn't put in the building code, that it would hurt the values of their property. So I
So
wanted,
you were talking about a burned out building that happens to be in your neighborhood. Were there any burned out buildings? I mean, what is there about this neighborhood
Because-
that relates to that question?
when somebody talks negatively about the town, I go check out the facts because of the lies.
So you were checking out the negative comments by looking at their neighborhood?
Yes, to see if their yard, their neighborhood is better than ours.
You can step down.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
We'll be brief, but we're going to call Ms. Brooks to the stand.
Ms. Brooks?
That's it. I'd like the judge and the witness stand, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you.
I do.
Please be seated. Ms.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Chapman.
Ms. Brooks, can you please state your name for the record?
Karen Brooks.
And Ms. Brooks, are you currently involved in the government or town government of Dewey-Humboldt?
Yes, I am.
What position do you hold?
I am currently the vice mayor
And also a council member?
and also a councilman.
Do you know Mr. Thomas?
I have met him since December 1st when he was sworn into the council.
And do you know Ms. Cluff?
I do.
How long have you said you know Mr. Thomas since December 20? How long have you known Ms. Cluff?
5 to 7 years.
Are you familiar with the allegations in the petition for the injunction against harassment in this case?
I am.
And is it unusual, based on your knowledge of Ms. Cluff, is it unusual for her to drive around the town?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor. Character evidence, not admissible.
The rules of evidence don't apply, number one, but number two, it substantiates the fact that this is a common practice of Ms. Cluff and not engaged in to target Mr. Thomas.
How do you know Ms. Thomas's behavior and activities?
Cluff, Ms. Cluff.
Cluff's behavior and activities?
Because
Ride with her?
first we met at council meetings.
Right.
And then when I became more involved in the town, I would go pick her up and we would ride around town looking at the different roads, looking at different properties. We had one situation of where a code enforcement officer showed some older pictures of 2 pieces of property that had recently been sold, and the new owners were rehabilitating these properties, but the code enforcement officer said that these properties were still in the original.
You're going way.
Oh, I'm
my
sorry.
question. So you have driven around with Ms. Cluff
At least 5 to 10 different
in
times.
5 to 7 years?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you.
May I proceed?
Yeah.
When, specifically within the last year, have you gone with Ms. Cluff and driven different parts of Dewey-Humboldt?
Yes, I have, and probably 3 to 4 times.
And when you go driving specifically, what types of situations are you observing or looking into when you go with Ms. Cluff?
We have observed different upkeeps of property. We go looking at different types of roads. We have tried to find different exits out of Blue Hills to add a separate egress in case of emergency. We have went around on other roads to see which roads are paved, which roads are dirt, how many dirt roads we have, how many paved roads we have. Rancho Place, the town received a letter about the steepness of the grade of the road. We went and drove that road. So we've seen most of the roads in Dewey-Humboldt.
And when you drive with Ms. Cluff, does she routinely take photographs of the areas that you'd go and drive to?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been at council meetings where she's presented that evidence or information in regard, or in response to the issues brought up at town council?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you with her on February 11, 2021, when she drove in the area related to this case?
No, ma'am.
Were you at the town hall on March 16th when she was in the parking lot and filed her information request that day?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever seen Ms. Cluff speak with Mr. Thomas?
No, ma'am.
Has she ever been with you and attempted to follow Mr. Thomas?
No, ma'am.
Were you at the ice cream social when Mr. Thomas showed up?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you aware of the injunction at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
What, if any,
Relevance, Your Honor?
Mr. Chapman?
Your Honor, it goes to Mr. Thomas, contradicts Mr. Thomas's testimony about his concern about being around Ms. Thomas when he shows up.
You mean-
I'm sorry, now I'm doing it. It shows, it contradicts his statement on the stand regarding his fear or his alarm with respect to being in close proximity to Ms. Cluff showing up to an event where she was at before him.
Okay, thank you.
Miss
Overruled.
Ms. Brooks, were you, what were you doing at the ice cream social? What was your role?
I was at the reception table and checking off who the people that had RSVP'd, and also if anybody came in that didn't RSVP, I had them sign in. I also was there at the time at Mortimer's Farms. There was, I believe, 3 different other events. I had 3 birthdays and a wedding going on. And so some of those people didn't exactly know where to go, so I directed those people into the store.
Did you check Mr. Thomas in when he came in for this ice cream social?
I did.
Was Ms. Cluff already there when Mr. Thomas showed up?
Yes, ma'am.
What, if anything, did you inform Mr. Thomas when he showed up?
I asked, Mr. Thomas showed up with his wife and daughter, and there had been a function, President's Valley Days parade and things, and I asked him if they had been up there, and Mr. Thomas told me that that they had not, his daughter had been ill that morning. And I said, but you didn't RSVP. And he says, I didn't realize I need to RSVP beforehand. And I said, it's been said at 3 different council meetings and in 4 written different publications.
Did you inform him that Ms. Cluff was there?
It was her event, and yes.
What do you mean it was her event?
She was co-hosting it. She got it together and started.
And was that information posted somewhere that went out to the public in town council meeting?
Yes, and it was also her email address that was sent out for everybody to RSVP to.
Did Mr. Thomas enter the ice cream social anyway?
Yes, he did. I said something about, well, the litigation, and he says, what are you talking about? And I said, the restraining order. And he said, that doesn't matter, and walked right past me and went over to the ice cream social with his family.
Did you inform Ms. Cluff at that time?
I immediately picked up my phone and called her.
Did he appear worried or concerned at that time knowing that Ms. Cluff was present?
No.
Did he leave after seeing Ms. Cluff?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor. The injunction had been issued. His conduct afterwards has nothing to do with the fact that it was issued.
No, I disagree with you, Mr. Coughlin, and here's why. This could be a situation that I warn people about that come in for injunctions or orders of protection, either one. Because we all live in Dewey-Humboldt, one of the larger communities that this court serves. So whether it's Black Canyon or Cordes or down the corridor here, I always warn people that have come in and gotten an injunction, don't use it as a bulldozer. In other words, don't go in a store when you know the defendant's car is out front and you can wait 15 minutes and they finish shopping and leave. So don't use it as a bulldozer. And so this falls within the bulldozer, it could fall within the bulldozer categorization, and so I'm going to overrule your objection.
I'll show you what's been marked as Exhibit 5. Is this the flyer that was posted to town council for the ice cream?
Ms. Chapman, you're beating a dead horse here.
Okay.
I appreciate that he went to an event, Ms. Cluff was an organizer,
Thank you.
and he did an RSVP. I accept that.
Thank you.
Do you want me to actually?
No, you don't need to.
No. Folks, it's getting to be 5 o'clock, and that it doesn't,
I have no-
we should cut off testimony, but it does mean we should wash our clocks.
I have no further questions for you, Ms. Brooks.
Okay. Ms. Coughlin?
No cross.
Excuse me, no cross? Okay, Ms. Brooks, you can step down, thank you. And you can stay in the courtroom as well. You can sit wherever you want, as long as you're spaced. Where the clerk put her little signs. I don't know that they're up there in the jury box anymore, but
The last witness will be Mr. Blomgren, and he's the individual on the phone.
do you have a phone number up here?
Have you? Oh, you got it.
I got it. You're going to have to throw your voice.
Hello?
Is this Mr. Blomgren? Is Mr. Blomgren? Hello? No, I'm not lying. Let's try again.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please consult.
Do you want me to let the other gentleman out there know that he can leave?
Yeah, when you can come in. Mr. Thibodeau.
Hello, this is Glenn.
Mr. Blomgren, this is the judge and mayor. Good afternoon. We finally got to you. And you're still under oath.
Okay.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Blomgren. I know that it's been a long afternoon, so we appreciate your patience. Can you hear me okay? This is
Yes, I can.
This is Ms. Chapman. All right, if you could please state your name for the record.
Glenn Blomgren?
And Mr. Blomgren, do you live in the town of Dewey-Humboldt?
Yes.
How long have you lived there, sir?
Since November of 2020. Yeah, 2020.
And
If the house he lives in,
do you mind if I
No, I don't mind.
Can you hear me a little better now, Mr. Blomgren?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay, very good. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a teacher and a dance instructor.
And do you hold any political positions in the town of Dewey-Humboldt?
I do. I'm a member of the town council.
And do you know Mr. Thomas?
I know a Mr. Thomas, yes.
I know she's a come in, but I may, based on what, depending on if he's able to testify. Do you know Ms. Cluff?
Yes.
Do you have a personal relationship with either of them? Is it only through the town council?
I know Ms. Cluff personally through church.
Okay. And Mr. Thomas through town council?
Yeah.
Were you at town hall on March 16, 2021?
Yes,
And did you see Mr. Thomas as well as Ms. Cluff on that day?
yes.
Did you have any conversation with Mr. Thomas inside of Town Hall?
Not other than to say hello.
And did you end up speaking with Ms. Cluff on that day?
Yes,
Where were you when you spoke with her?
I believe it's just outside the town hall door.
And did she seem, were you aware that she had been taking photographs that day? Were you aware of that when you walked out of Town Hall?
No,
And did you have a conversation with her when in which she asked you to assist her with something?
they asked me to walk out to her car with her.
And what did she tell you she wanted you to walk out to her car for? What was the reason?
She said she didn't trust Mr. Thomas and she wanted me to kind of protect her because she got in her car.
And were you aware Mr. Thomas was still there at Town Hall in the parking lot at that time?
She said he was. I did not see him.
Did you see Ms. Cluff to her car that day?
Yes.
Were you involved in any, are you aware of any of the information that was alleged in the injunction from the February 11th, 2021 incident regarding Mr. Thomas and Ms. Cluff?
Only what was discussed within council chambers, and I can't really talk about that.
Thank you, I don't need you to, I don't want you to speak about that. Give me just 1 second. I don't have anything further, thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, there might be cross-examination.
You could hang up when I tell you, you can hang up, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Coughlin, you got anything?
No cross.
Okay. Mr. Blundgren, you can hang up, and thank you for hanging around the phone for a couple of hours.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, bye now.
We just want to see if I need to call Mr. Thibodeau. I think we've covered it all.
John.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Coughlin, time for closing arguments.
Rebuttal?
Move by a witness, please, as long as it's brief.
Yes, you can now, I'm sorry.
It won't take long.
Okay. Please call your witness.
Barry Thomas?
Still on your oath, Mr. Thomas, please be seated. Wait, I'm sorry.
Mr. Thomas, the ice cream social we've heard about,
Yes,
who's the sponsor?
it was hosted by Mortimer Farms.
And what was the defendant's role in, as far as the flyer that was sent out, what was her role?
I'm not sure other than organizing it somehow. I wasn't involved directly with that. I just know that the flyer I received was hosted by Mortimer's Farms.
And what was the purpose for the ice cream social?
Just to welcome the new town manager, from which the council had just hired to the town, and a meet and greet for him and the citizens of the community. I intended to show my support for him, as I should. And at the time showing up there, I didn't feel it was necessary to RSVP, as though I was the only one who needed to do so. I know the mayor of the town didn't RSVP, nor did he sign in. I kind of figured once I took the oath of office, I was signed into any functions that had to do with the town council and our town manager.
So the town manager is somebody that consults with the council or vice versa on a regular basis?
Oh, yes, sir.
So
Yes.
the new town, the new town manager was Ed Dickey?
Correct.
I'm familiar with the role of town council.
Okay, sure.
City
So
managers.
this was a normal function for you to go and show your support for a newly hired member of the town?
I thought so, yes.
Now, there was a comment made about your fear of being in fear of the defendant in this case at the ice cream social. Once you got your injunction, what happened to your level of fear?
Well, it subsided a lot, just for the fact that she was aware that there was an injunction against her, and I had not had any instances with her, once that occurred. If she would have approached me maybe at the thing, I might have had a concern, but she stayed her fair distance away, and I was able to go in and greet the manager, show my support, spend a few minutes, introduce him to my wife and daughter, and leave. We waited till the end of the social to show up and do so also.
So were you in fear of the defendant at that location at that time?
No.
As long as the injunction is in place, do you feel safe?
Yes.
As long as the injunction stays in place, do you feel that you have to worry about her sneaking up on you or anything like that?
Well, I'm still going to always have my guard up. I mean, I still don't know this person well enough to be completely comfortable, but the injunction is in order for her to stay away from me.
Do you feel that it's been effective in doing that?
I do believe so.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Chapman?
So you're saying an injunction has prevented somebody from talking to you who never previously spoke with you prior to the injunction? That's your testimony.
Not about her talking to me.
Okay. You're saying that this injunction is protecting you from someone who's never come within 100 feet of you outside of town council meeting. That's what you're saying?
No, that's not what I said.
She didn't come within 100 feet of you on your property, did she?
Yeah, she was within about 20 feet of me when she drove by me.
In her car on a public roadway, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I've done that.
And she never approached you anywhere else, period. Isn't that true?
At town hall.
She attended town hall, but she didn't approach you at town hall. Isn't that true? When it was in person?
She put her camera in my face, that's approaching.
And your testimony is that someone taking photographs of you out in public makes you so fearful for your life that you have to carry a gun.
Makes me fearful for my family and myself.
And
If
this
I am not aware of what this person is capable of doing, yes.
And this piece of paper is going to eliminate that fear.
Completely? No.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Coughlin?
No further, Your Honor.
Okay, you can sit down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, can we have short closing arguments, please? Mr. Coughlin?
Yes, Your Honor. The order was issued against harassment against the defendant in this case on March 25th, 9 days after the March 16th incident, and a couple of months after the February incident at his property. Mr. Thomas has testified that as long as that's in place, he feels that it has protected him. That's what the design of an order of protection is. And he has been harassed. There's reasonable evidence that there has been the harassment, and her activities versus other individuals, as you've seen in the photographs that she provided. It does corroborate my client's testimony that she was taking photos. And what's important to know is his reaction to being photographed. It's discomforting. There are things happening all over this country where somebody, for some odd reason, picks up a gun and starts going crazy on people. And he's aware of those things. 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 He's aware of those things.